Hey everyone, it's Aisha Love, founder of Multidimensional You, and I'm back out in the Lost River Range at Mount Bora here in the Rocky Mountains of Idaho. It is a gorgeous day. In this follow-up to the Q&A from all the questions that came in on the first video in the Activating the Healer Within series, 2 more questions that I'm being directed to answer. Here we go. How do I handle the judgment and resistance I encounter from others about my path? And how can I approach healing in unconventional ways without feeling constrained by traditional methods? Okay, so as usual, I will be answering this question both from my direct human experience of what I've walked, but also I will be receiving information from the field to share in real time, along with some activations as usual. Okay, so let's see what wants to come through. Oh, interesting. How do you handle judgment and resistance from others? So what's coming in so clearly is to understand that many people in a human, animal, mammal form with a nervous system have built up and constructed a worldview that keeps them safe. So if you are a human walking on the planet and you encounter something that deviates drastically from the worldview that you have built and that construct that you live in, you will feel fear and a sense of danger. It's almost kind of built into the structure and the nervous system. And a lot of the fear patterns that we've been conditioned with to fear the unknown, usually. Some of us get, jazzed on the unknown and love that, and there's a sense of adventure around it. But for most people, the unknown brings a sense of discombobulation, disorientation, uncertainty, and fear. So when your path presents something that is in direct contrast to something called the Cartesian worldview, right? It's based on what our senses can perceive here, and it's, the material world is all there is. That's kind of the Cartesian worldview, right? Then you will be hitting the triggers around psychic safety, just a general sense of safety, and it will be rejected outright. This is often stunning to those of us who have encountered this, especially from a more intellectual or cerebral audience, because we think, wait a minute, if you just stop to investigate or take time to gather your own primary evidence and are open-minded, this shouldn't be such a big deal. But you will find that there is as much dogma in science as religion, and that the scientific paradigm, I've said over and over on this channel, is only as good as the questions that it dares to ask, including what are the limitations of the current scientific paradigm. Meaning, if we're relying on empirical evidence, what is the empiricism based in? And I was told a long time ago, don't wait for the, current scientific construct to catch up, because they don't have the instrumentation to measure the fields that you're working in and the work that you're doing. And so I kind of let it go. But I recognize that I have had to traverse this same judgment, the same resistance. And I came from that paradigm, and I was one of those judgers. I was one of those skeptics. Oh, the irony. So I understand this very well. And it's, there is like a certain condescension and irritation almost in intellectual constructs that are Cartesian based for anything that goes metaphysical, multidimensional, usually. Now, this is changing in the context of the psychedelic revolution that we happen to be in, so that's amazing. But I just want to help you understand why there is this feeling of anger, annoyance, judgment, haughtiness, condescension that you will encounter. And it's all derived from the lack of open-mindedness, is derived from an attempt to keep oneself safe. When one's worldview is challenged, that all the defenses will come up. So of course, the first thing to do is not take it personally to the extent that you can. And if it triggers something in you, there's the gift. That means you still have an inner skeptic. You are still rejecting yourself in some way based in that same paradigm. And that can just be used as beautiful shadow work to say, thank you so much. Clearly this is zinging something in me. And how am I still rejecting my own direct experiences? How am I not trusting my own experiences? How am I not trusting my path? So it's all serving, and it's a very powerful invitation to do that inner work. And also, it's an amazing opportunity to hold compassion and unconditional love for people who are just not there, just not in the same space. and not needing them to see the world the way you do. Underneath that, you will find is your own shadow of not feeling seen, validated, heard, loved, accepted. And again, we can reroute and come back in. And how can we inner source our own love and acceptance? I know that can feel like a tall order at times, and yet that is the work. And then when we come into full acceptance and love, unconditional love, we actually have it to offer to others. And that really is ultimately where all the paths lead. The paths into metaphysical reality, multidimensional reality, while expansive and expanding and exciting and magical at times and mind-bending at times, keep going and you will eventually come to all the paths lead back to how do we come to unconditional love no matter what, right? So whether you're, interfacing with multidimensional beings, ETs, any of it doesn't really matter. It's like all races of beings, all of us are working to find our way back to the greatest truth, which is love is the foundation, and we are love, and we always have been love. And so if you can get there sooner, a lot of the judgment you will encounter, you will be able to alchemize that much more quickly for yourselves and continue on and carry on with a compassionate heart. So I'm being prompted right now to speak to a lot of the wounding that many of us on a multidimensional metaphysical awakening path experience and then can get stuck in. So we can very much get stuck in people don't get this, I've been mocked, and then our wounding kicks in and we can back eddy in that and stay stuck there. So always, always, always have kind of an ear and an open heart for your own wounding and your own narrative of I've been a victim. I get it. These life, the soul contracts and these life paths can be very challenging at times, but absolutely we just don't want to get stuck in our own back eddy of victim. Okay. So there's that one that's really wanting to be emphasized while we are talking about this. And it's always good to remember that people won't always remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. So if you are arrogant, haughty, condescending in return, that's what people will remember and they will associate with, the path that you're on. So again, just an amazing opportunity to practice a lot of powerful inner love alchemy, higher love alchemy, and shadow work. Okay, on to this next beautiful question. How can I approach healing in unconventional ways without feeling constrained by traditional methods? So the very question belies the fact that you feel constrained by traditional methods. And this dovetails with the first question in that the collective consciousness and the human collective, the human population, human society at large can move rather slowly when it comes to evolving its thought paradigms and constructs. I'm being told right now that we're in a very fast, rapidly evolving time when it comes to theoretical constructs related to ideas that we hold about reality. In the same way that the scientific revolution some 400 years ago ushered in microbiology, and we understood there's this whole, other realm that we can't see with the naked eye, we're moving into another level of awareness, consciousness, again, thought constructs when it comes to a larger metaphysical or multidimensional reality, and our thought paradigms are going to move very quickly. You add in the rapidly evolving artificial intelligence and how that is going to radically change the way that we do life, already has begun, and what we consider consciousness and sentient life. And I know that there are a lot of debates raging around this. And what's really interesting is we're not going to engage here on this channel with what side of the coin or what approach do you take when you think of AI. It's much more an interesting question to look at the fear behind any sort of debate and being attached to being right. That's where the real shadow gold is. It's what part of us wants to be right about something? What part of us is looking at, any sort of that's dangerous and where's the fear, as an invitation to go within ourselves to see what fear we're still holding and what attachment to being right we hold, and to begin to expand, dismantle, alchemize a lot of that and open back up into just an absolute unconditionally loving space. It's the most powerful embodied state you can occupy. It's the state the masters attained, right? Why no dis-ease can exist in their presence. Yeah, there we go. Do you feel that? Do you feel that shift? We just did like an octave shift. It's almost like a remembering, like, yeah, it's like, hey, back out here, there's like a whole nother way of being that like all is well. And it doesn't mean you're naive. It means you're exceptionally powerful and commanding of the space that you emanate within. Yeah, you feel that. There we go. There's a whole octave shift ushering in right now. So when we're in this zone, new constructs will emerge naturally because we're not down in the constructs of conflict and polarity, dramas. We're up in a different octave, different emanation, a little bit of a different creational space. And I know this is why this question self-selected. It was because, I could feel it come from the field when I was reading through the questions. It's like, this is where the real innovation will occur, is from this space. It's not from the same old paradigms and, who's right, who's wrong, let's have a debate. It's more like, why am I even feeling the need to get involved in an argument? What's that about? And if I wasn't using my life force energy in that regard, where might I repurpose it and redirect it to? Yeah. We're just bumping right up. I'm using my field to like bring us up into a completely different floor, right, of the building. Let's even bump up E. There we go. You just start laughing because it gets the vibrational frequency just starts to go so high, right? Electron spin. Woo! Keep going. I'm going to create a natural high here. Take a deep breath. Yeah. And for some, you'll feel the radio silence 0 point, neutralizing everything out. It's interesting because in this space, you start to recognize there aren't problems the way that you saw them originally. It's powerful. So, back to the question, how can you approach things in unconventional ways? Well, here you go. We just left convention behind. It's to change your emanation. So, behind that question is a bit of resistance, rebellion, struggle. Just bring yourself up and out into this expansive state and move from this space. Remember, people will remember how you made them feel. And this is a powerful invocation, an invitation into an expansive, embodied state of unconditional love. And that's the ultimate healer. It's the ultimate truth. Love has always been the foundation. Everything else is kind of an interesting exploration and dance, but it doesn't hold the same power. Fear just does not hold the same power as love. So put yourself in a state of expansive, embodied love. That's the answer. Beautiful. So let me know in the comments below how this resonated, how this helped you. Maybe some new insights popped in. Maybe you watch this and a week later, all sorts of inner discoveries and ahas happen. Come back and leave a comment. The conversation that's happening in the comments is very, it's very validating. It's very inspiring. You all are helping one another come out of silos of feeling isolated. It's just an illusion. It's just a little bit of self-rejection maintaining itself. So share something here and kind of come out of hiding, come out of being in your own conversation into this broader conversation. And also, I've seen on this channel, actually, people who said they initially saw something and thought this was nutso, and then went through an experience and circled back months or years later and left a comment. So you may be experiencing that in your own life. In fact, I'm being told, yes, many people are, that people are coming to you now saying, I thought you were kind of wacko, and you're kind of onto something. Like, hey, I had this experience and can you help me out, right? So really, a lot of what we're going to do here on this channel is make sure that we clean up our wounded ego and that we move out from a much cleaner space of unconditional love. So with that, I love you all, and I can't wait to record another part of all the questions that came in. Raven's excited too. You gonna make a cameo? Can hear him flying. Hey, buddy. Awesome. Wishing you all a magical, multidimensional day. Just me and the ravens. It's a rave. I'm Mount Bora with the ravens.